toward parts of Carroll County. Now, no warnings on the storms off to the south, though. We will give you a look down there because those are still some hefty looking storms, and we know the environment is primed not only for damaging wind, but also potential rotation. These storms moving through parts of Prince William County into Fairfax County. Right now, heavy rain, no lightning and thunder. That is a good sign there, but still potentially producing some damaging wind and an even stronger looking storm just off to the south and west down into Culpeper, where they've seen several rounds of storms by this point today, right along 522 just off to the east of Orange. So, hey, Topper.
Go to Frederick County.
We'll go to Frederick County.
And go northeast of Frederick, just east of Walkersville. I've got not so much rotation, but I have straight lines almost to 80 miles an hour.
Yep, Topper's tracking winds up to 80 miles per hour within these storms. He said, again, not so much looking at rotating storms. That's good news, but we know that winds gusting 70 to 80 miles per hour, that can be just as damaging. So this is into Johnsonville, down into Libertytown, right along Route 26. We'll get you a closer look here around Maryland 75. Again, these are the areas we are most concerned with for that tornado warning. That, again, the worst part of this storm is about to move out of Frederick County and into Carroll County around noon today. That is when I do expect that line to pass over Frederick County and into Carroll County, and then shortly we can expect that tornado warning to expire. So great news in that there's not a real threat of rotation anymore, but still that straight line wind will continue to be a concern, not only throughout these storms, but throughout our next round of storms rolling in later today. We do have enough wind shear in the atmosphere that has, proven itself worthy of tornado warnings already today. And when we talk about wind shear, we talk about that rotating wind speed and direction with height. So the atmosphere is swirling. All we need are these storms to trigger the storms and potentially bring in those tornado warned storms, those areas of rotation and possible funnel clouds. That's what we'll be watching for throughout the day today, but also the straight line wind threat. So even if there's not a tornado warning in your area, but you do have a severe thunderstorm warning issued, you need to keep that threat in mind. It does not take a rotating storm to bring down significant trees. Winds gusting 60 to 70, even 80 miles per hour can be incredibly destructive. We'll be watching for those considerable and destructive tags that the National Weather puts on storms throughout the day today. So if you see us cut into your regularly scheduled programming and there's not a tornado warning, that is because there is still a significant wind threat. And that's what we're watching right now, stretching all the way, you can see, from Charlottesville, that whole line back into parts of northern Maryland, where we have not only our tornado warnings, but also a severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses most of northern Montgomery County, but also Frederick County and points north and east. So let's take you back to that Frederick County warning, where the worst of the storm is about to move out of Frederick County and into Carroll County. These storms no longer showing any strong indication of rotation, but still powerful winds. Topper said he was clocking winds close to 80 miles per hour in this storm. So we'll also be watching for potential power outages, showing us where there are tree and power lines down. I have no doubt that we will get storm reports here throughout the day today, and we'll bring you some of those coming up here on WUSA 9 at noon. But you can see just off to the north and east of Libertytown, that's where the worst of this storm from Johnsville into Clemensville is moving through Anglers Mill. You are seeing the worst of the weather right now, which is indicated that it is more of a wind threat than a tornado threat, but still a significant threat as that. I've been saying it throughout the morning that if a severe thunderstorm warning is issued, and certainly, of course, a tornado warning is issued, you need to make sure you are finding that safe location away from windows. A small interior room, a basement will always be your best bet. We'll take you back to that Montgomery County tornado warning, which is going to expire in just about a minute here. Right now it's over Damascus, though the threat for rotating storms, the threat for tornadoes has cleared. The wind threat still very much there. That's why we also have the severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah?
Between Mount Airy and Lisbon, along Route 70 here, that's what they're looking out for, the next potential rotation. That would be extending that tornado warning north and east.
The Frederick County one or the Montgomery County one?
It's not within the warning right now, but they're watching that potential kink right to the south and west there of Lisbon.
Yep, looking at that now. Okay, so they are not, in fact, going to expire this warning, but instead extend it potentially back into more of Howard County. You can see right along, and there it is right now. That is in effect for Carroll County and Howard County until 12:15 this afternoon, with the threat really being just off to the east of Lisbon there. This is the radar signature we've been showing you kind of over the past several hours over by Poplar Springs, where you see that little V. That is an inflow notch. That is that potential rotation. And the past 3 tornado warnings we've been tracking have all showed some of those stronger signs of that potential rotation. So we now just have, I believe, 1 tornado warning on the map. We'll kind of zoom things out here for you. That should be into parts of Carroll and Howard County. That is in effect until 12:15. So now officially outside of our area, but just off to the north and east of Montgomery County. So if you have loved ones in the area, if you have property in the area, this is a storm that you need to take seriously. And it looks like we did just get a new tornado warning that clips Frederick County and heads into more of Carroll County as well. So that storm right now, again, new tornado warning also in effect until 12:15. This one is heading out of Frederick County and into Carroll County. We'll kind of drop this so we can give you a better idea of where exactly that warning is. If you are in that warned area, that includes Uniontown, just off to the north and west of Westminster. This is a storm that you need to seek shelter for. A small interior room away from windows. Think basement if you've got one. If not, that's okay. A closet, a hallway, a bathroom. And if you can, grab something to protect your head in the event that you do see any kind of flying debris. So that is also in effect until 12:15 this afternoon. We'll give you a closer look at kind of where it's exiting Frederick County and heading into Carroll County. And again, these warnings just keep getting extended. That means the National Weather Service does see something concerning enough on radar that they are extending these warnings kind of in smaller increments because the storms are still just moving so quickly. So right now, the worst of that storm, I think, is already out of Frederick County, but Clemensville, Anglers Mill, right along 75. You can see we just got that latest radar scan in. So the worst of that storm is now officially back into parts of Carroll County. In fact, they might, take Frederick County out of it as they update their warnings, because they have been doing that, just given the quick pace of these storms, kind of trimming back the areas that are no longer a threat. So right now, watching that storm also for our friends in Carroll and Howard County until 12:15 this afternoon. That storm also moving just incredibly quickly. Now that inflow notch is just to the north of Lisbon, in between Lisbon and Newport, right along 70 is where there is potential rotation within this storm. This is about to approach the Morgan area. If that sounds familiar, if you have loved ones in the area, we'll give you a wider perspective here, because I do still want to keep an eye on that entire line, because all it takes is one little kink in the radar to trigger these tornado warnings. Now, right now, it looks like we are still tracking some heavier rain, possibly some strong wind down into parts of Fairfax County, into Prince William County. Nothing looking super fishy within that storm. Just off to the south of Culpeper, though, it does look like we are still seeing some heft to that storm. This is just off to the east of 522. You can see just to the south of 17 as well. Still nothing suspicious in terms of possible rotation, but heavy rain, strong wind, no doubt a concern. Again, we are talking about not only a tornado threat, but a straight line wind threat, with winds gusting anywhere from 60 to possibly 80 miles per hour. So we'll take you back to where we have those 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, 2 tornado warnings rather. We do still have the severe thunderstorm warning that includes mainly Montgomery County back into Frederick County. Nothing of super concern within this storm. We're seeing heavy rain, some gusty wind, nothing again in the field of that 60 to 80 mile per hour range, but the bigger wind concern is going to be back into parts of Carroll and Howard County, and back into Frederick County, where we did just have that new tornado warning issued as well. So a little good news with this signature for our friends in Carroll and Howard County. It does look like the storm, isn't showing that really significant V signature, that inflow notch. Still definitely a kink in the line there. So we are still watching that tornado warning until 12:15. Biggest area of concern here would be kind of right around the border of Carroll and Howard County. We'll get you closer here over toward Morgan, Watersville, Day. If these areas sound familiar, that is where you need to make sure you are in your safe location, or check in with your loved ones that might be in the area. Make sure everyone is heeding these warnings, not just the tornado warnings, but also the severe thunderstorm warnings because of that significant wind threat. I mean, this is why so many schools have issued early dismissals. They do not want kids coming home in the height of these storms, because this is round one, yes, but round two is going to be right during the afternoon and evening commute, say between about 3 and 8 o'clock around the DC area. So good news for Frederick County here. The strongest part of this tornado warning has cleared off to the north and east, still very much impacting Carroll County over toward Uniontown, New Windsor, about to cross parts of 832. We'll give you a wider perspective here, and again, not seeing that super clear tornadic signature, so that is good news. Does look like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning, and that extends farther off to the north and east. So no surprise there. That again is just to the north and east of Montgomery County and Frederick County. It extends all the way back into parts of Fulton County, Pennsylvania. So here is the area that we're watching carefully. In fact, it looks like this little storm here outside, or kind of just in between the two of those tornado warnings, could be packing not only potentially strong wind, but possible rotation as well. These are quick little spin up tornadoes that could potentially be long tracking, but they are going to be really tight velocity signatures, really tight velocity couplets. So we are not talking about widespread big tornadoes, but rather these quick spin ups that do have some legs to them given the amount of wind shear in the atmosphere. So right now we've got the two tornado warnings, one from Carroll County into Howard County until 12:15. This one officially out of our area, but we know so many folks have loved ones nearby. Maybe you live in the area. This is in effect until 12:15, and the warning back into parts of Carroll County and still clipping Frederick County, though I think the National Weather Service will at a minimum kind of peel Frederick County back since there is no longer a threat in Frederick County. That is also in effect until 12:15. A powerful storm, though, just in between the two warnings from Westminster stretching down into parts of Bloom and Fenby, Bird Hill. You're seeing some really strong wind at a minimum, if not a little bit of weak rotation within this storm. But it's not just the the tornado warnings we're watching, rather also the severe thunderstorm warnings. They did just put a warning on that storm down into Culpeper. So let's give you a closer look there. This includes parts of Culpeper, Fauquier, Orange, and Stafford until 12:45 this afternoon. This no doubt issued for the wind threat, but we'll be watching very carefully for some of those kinks to develop, that potential rotation that we've seen in several of these severe thunderstorm warnings so far. And does look like we are seeing a few potential areas. I'm going to step off screen real quick and just look at some additional radar products behind the scenes to make sure nothing seems suspicious down there. Again, that warning is in effect until 12:45 this afternoon. And right now that is looking like more of a straight line wind threat. But let's see if we can't get a little bit of value on here to show you how strong those winds might be. The strongest wind I'm seeing in the area is up to about 60 miles per hour. These storms, again, all throughout the afternoon will be capable of producing winds anywhere from 60 to 80 miles per hour, and cannot emphasize enough that this is just round one. We are going to see another round of these storms move through during the afternoon. We should catch a little bit of a reprieve once this line gets out of here, but then we will track another line of storms between about 3 and 8 o'clock tonight. So let's time out this storm for you. It is moving a little bit more easterly versus northeasterly, like we have seen with those tornado warned storms. So this would move it into Gold Vein around 12:20 this afternoon, Heartwood by 12:27, Quantico by 12:40, and into Indian Head. Not under the warning right now, but these storms have been holding together quite nicely as they've been progressing off to the east and northeast. So that would put it in Indian Head around 12:43. So again, this is just kind of the start of our severe weather day, or at least it started around 11 o'clock this morning when we first got on air. So a few reminders as we continue through this day of where to go if not only a tornado warning is issued, but also a severe thunderstorm warning, especially if it has a distinction from the National Weather Service of being destructive or considerable. That means winds in excess of 70 to 80 miles per hour. That can be just as destructive as a tornado. So keep that in mind today, not only if a tornado warning is issued, but also a severe thunderstorm warning. You want to make sure you are getting to that safe location, a small interior room away from windows. Of course, a basement will be the best place you can be, but if you don't have one, and that is okay, a lot of folks don't, you just want to make sure you're getting away from windows, and if you can, grab a blanket, a mattress, anything to protect your head. Now, we have this tornado watch in effect for pretty much the entire area until 7 o'clock tonight. This is just round one. More storms will develop throughout the day today, and there is no shortage of spin in the atmosphere. That's why tornadoes are so top of mind for today. All it is going to take is a storm to develop to potentially cause that storm to rotate. So where you see those yellow boxes, those are severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently active. And where you see that box in red, that is the tornado warning that we've been also tracking back into parts of Frederick and Howard County. So let's get you back to radar and review where we're seeing the worst of the storms right now. It does look like they potentially expired, or they trimmed back the warning that no longer includes Frederick County, but we do still have the tornado warnings just off to our north and east for parts of Carroll and Howard County until 12:15. The severe thunderstorm warning has been dropped for Montgomery County as well. So right now we're continuing to watch that potential rotation move out of Carroll County, or moving out of Howard County rather, and into Carroll County rather, toward the Eldersburg area. You can see right along 95 from Barrett down into Hood's Mill. That is where there is potentially rotation within this storm. I'm not seeing nearly the strong rotation signature that I saw earlier today, rather a straight line wind signature, which still means winds gusting anywhere from 60 to possibly 80 miles per hour. Most of what we have seen on our radar has indicated winds in the range of 60 to 70, but Topper did indicate some potential winds up to 80 miles per hour in that tornado warned storm that is now out of Frederick County and back into Carroll County. So we'll show you where that warning is right now. Again, this no longer really includes Frederick County. The warning technically clips parts of Frederick County, but the strongest part of that storm is actually now out of that warning altogether. We'll check in now with Topper for more updates.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. I guess some good news, all the tornado warnings out of our immediate area. But as you mentioned, I mean, this is kind of a harbinger of what's to come. This is round one. And so don't let your guards down once this line of intense storms roll through. So let's kind of reset here. We'll talk about the radar past couple of hours. Remember, these are moving like at 55 miles per hour, almost 60 miles per hour. And essentially the line is getting, still pretty intense. I mean, yes, we have the tornado warnings up to the north, up around Westminster, but for the most part, this is the line. And it down to the south. We cannot sleep on that. And I think Caitlin mentioned this. You don't have to be under a tornado warning to have some major damage with these storms. In fact, some of these storms will produce straight line winds equivalent to a tornado, a small tornado. So if we say, hey, there's a severe thunderstorm warning, as Caitlin mentioned, and it's destructive, tagged as what we call destructive, you need to take that as seriously as you would if it were, in fact, a tornado warning. So we have the tornado warnings now. It's still into Frederick, another minute and a half. I think that the threat is up toward the north, up toward Westminster, and then this one also is until 12:15. We'll see if they extend that. But for the immediate metro, we're not in bad shape, except for the fact we have a lot of rain pulling out of Montgomery County up into Carroll County, and also just pulling out of Frederick County. In fact, you're in Frederick County right now. You're in pretty good shape. I mean, you have some rain. Don't see much lightning. The main concern with this storm is to the north and east. Remember, tornadoes usually track from southwest to northeast, and they usually, moving at 40 to 60 miles an hour. So that is what we're looking at right now. Again, we're not looking at anything crazy in terms of warnings to the north, but we're not done with these storms. And down to the south, I mean, these storms are, I'm a little concerned just about straight line winds with these storms. Heavy rain around Albany and Rockville. Now, those are intense storms, but not super, super heavy. But if you go down further south, Down here where there's a severe thunderstorm warning for Fauquier, Orange, and Stafford County, that goes until 12:45. That's going to have winds of 50 to 70 miles per hour. So you're in Gold Vein, get ready. We will come back. We will track these storms for you hour by hour and tell you when the next line rolls in.